All right. So Greg asked two questions. He said, what do you think is the best way to stay motivated while doing distance learning online? That's a good question. I think it's something that most people tend to struggle with, whether it's like they're learning online or doing work remotely. Yeah, it's a weird thing working away from people. There's like you don't have a sense of accountability anymore. It's kind of like all on your own shoulders, which could be new to some. So to answer that question, yeah, if you are the type of person who likes like co-working spaces, there's a really cool app that's new. It's called FocusMate. And so FocusMate, what it does is it pairs you up at random with somebody in the world. And so you basically will put in a time. So, okay, tomorrow at 10 a.m., I have a FocusMate call schedule. And at 10 a.m., I'm going to sit down with, it's kind of like a randomly generated thing. And I'll sit down with this person. You don't really speak to each other. You just say, okay, this is what I'm working on in our hour session. And you wave, and then you get to work. And it's suggested that you keep your camera on, and it's suggested that you keep your mic on. It's something about being in an environment where you hear kind of work. It makes you work more productively. I think there's a crazy stat about it. It's like over like 95% of the respondents of FocusMate have improved in their productivity. So that's one way of doing it. Another way to stay motivated is kind of drawing in like, okay, what are your higher values? Like, what do you do this for? Like, why do you even care to do this? So like Joshua, you were speaking about, your reason to, why chemistry is important to you and what you want it to do with it. Like, that's a great higher value to stay motivated. The question is okay, can you be aware of that and draw it into yourself when you need it the most? And so how to kind of bring yourself to your higher values. Like, for example, if I care about, making the world a better place by like teaching a little bit, right? Like when I'm preparing, some resources or documents or preparing lessons, I'll remember that. And I remember that every so often. And I remember that every day. Like, what are your purposes? What are your meanings? And everybody, it's different. Like to some, they tend to fall in like the religious domain. To some, it's not. Maybe some people don't even ask themselves this question, right? Like, what's your intention with doing these things? So exploring those and then kind of revisiting them is really great. Like having a short list of them, in my opinion, kind of helps a lot of students stay motivated. And then as well, like to make it as easy as possible. So to go on autopilot, like that's awesome if you can do that. That's what I try to do is like automate things and make it as easy as possible. So I don't even have to think about motivation. It's like just to have it, right? Like I know I have these set times where I sit down, whether it's a FocusMate group or like, I don't need to be motivated because it's like, I just do it. I'm on autopilot. So it's easier said than done to do that. But like ultimately how you do it is by making things really easy for you. And a great way to do that is to not be hard on yourself. So if you have any like type of negative self-talk or anything along those lines, like there's a saying, it's be strict with showing up, but be lenient with the results. So be strict in showing up, but you can be lenient with those results. So just show up for that period of time, be diligent and focused and enjoy what you're doing because you know it's relating to your higher purposes. Yeah, and don't worry about the result. It's okay if you don't get it. It's okay if it takes a long time. Like as long as you're, strict with showing up, you tend to do the work. So yeah, I don't know if that answers the question, but that's kind of what comes to mind when I think of it.